Welcome to the Sleepless Pigeon Scientist. Tonight, we're going to explore something that might fundamentally change how you think about death itself. Something so profoundly unsettling, so quietly terrifying, that it might just keep you awake long after this video ends. And if it does, well, according to the theory we're about to discuss, you'll have an infinite number of other versions of yourself lying peacefully asleep across countless parallel universes. Before we venture into this particular corner of scientific speculation, I'd like to gently ask for your support. If these late-night explorations intrigue you, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing. It helps other restless minds discover these concepts, and it means everything to me. I'm also curious, where are you listening from tonight? Maybe you're in a quiet bedroom in suburban Australia, or perhaps you're walking through the neon-lit streets of Tokyo at 3 a.m. Wherever you are, I'd love to know your location and what time it is as you contemplate your own mortality with me. Leave a comment below, especially if you're listening at an unusual hour. You're definitely not alone in your sleeplessness. Tonight's journey is called Quantum Immortality, and we'll be drifting through one of the most unsettling implications of quantum mechanics: the possibility that consciousness can never truly experience its own ending. Because according to this theory, every time you should die, you simply don't. At least, not from your own perspective. We'll explore how the strange rules of quantum mechanics might trap your consciousness in an endless cycle of near-death experiences, how parallel universes could be your eternal safety net, and why this supposed gift of immortality might actually be the most terrifying fate imaginable. From the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics to the philosophical implications of infinite survival, we'll be examining the idea that death, as you understand it, might be nothing more than an illusion, visible only to others, never to yourself. But don't worry, we won't be diving too deep into the mathematical complexities of quantum theory. Just deep enough to make you question everything you thought you knew about existence, consciousness, and the nature of reality itself. And if somewhere along the way your thoughts begin to feel heavy and your grip on conventional reality starts to loosen, then you're in exactly the right place. Please remember, everything in this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. This is theoretical physics and philosophy, not medical or psychological advice. Always consult qualified professionals for any concerns about your mental health. Now, settle in comfortably. Take a slow, deep breath. And let's begin. The foundation, when physics meets philosophy. Imagine for a moment that you're standing at the edge of a cliff. One small step forward, and you would fall to your death. In our everyday understanding of reality, this would be the end of your story. But according to quantum immortality theory, this is where things get interesting, and deeply unsettling. The theory of quantum immortality emerges from something called the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. To understand this, we need to first grasp something fundamental about the quantum world. At the smallest scales of reality, particles don't exist in definite states until they're observed. Think of it like this. Imagine flipping a coin, but instead of it being either heads or tails while it's in the air, it's somehow both at the same time. Only when it lands, when it's observed, does it choose to be one or the other. This is called quantum superposition, and it's not just a thought experiment. It's been demonstrated countless times in laboratories around the world. But here's where it gets truly mind-bending. According to the many worlds interpretation, the coin doesn't actually choose. Instead, reality splits. In one universe, it's heads. In another, it's tails. Both universes are equally real, equally valid, and they exist simultaneously in parallel dimensions. Now, scale this up to every quantum event in the universe, every particle interaction, every probability, every moment of uncertainty. The result is an infinite branching of realities, constantly splitting and diverging, creating an unimaginably vast multiverse where every possible outcome of every possible event actually occurs. This is where quantum immortality enters the picture, and where our peaceful contemplation takes a darker turn. The mechanism, how consciousness might cheat death. Let's return to that cliff edge. According to quantum immortality theory, when you step forward and fall, reality splits into countless branches. In some branches, you die instantly, In others, a freak gust of wind saves you. In yet others, you land on a previously unseen ledge, or a rescue helicopter appears at just the right moment. The key insight is this: you can only experience the branches where your consciousness continues to exist. You cannot, by definition, experience the branches where you die, because in those branches, there is no you to experience anything at all. This creates a strange selection bias in your personal experience of reality. From your perspective, you will always find yourself in the branch where you survived, no matter how improbable that survival might be. Even if 99.999% of the branches lead to your death, your consciousness will only ever experience the 0.001% where you live. Think about it this way: you've probably had close calls before. Maybe you nearly walked into traffic, or almost choked on something, or barely avoided a car accident. According to Quantum Immortality, these weren't just lucky escapes. They were the only outcomes you could possibly experience, because you can't experience the alternatives. But here's where the theory becomes truly unsettling. If this is true, then from your perspective, you can never die. Ever. You are condemned to experience increasingly improbable survival scenarios, watching everyone you love age and die around you while you persist through sheer quantum mechanical impossibility. The implications, when immortality becomes horror. Let's follow this logic to its terrifying conclusion. Imagine you're 80 years old, and your body is failing. In the conventional world, you would die of natural causes. But according to quantum immortality, your consciousness can only experience the branches where you somehow survive. Maybe in one branch, a new medical treatment is discovered just in time. In another, your body somehow rallies against all odds. In yet another, some unprecedented biological miracle occurs. The point is, you will always find yourself in the branch where you continue to exist, no matter how unlikely that existence becomes. But survival isn't the same as health. As you age beyond any normal human lifespan, your continued existence might become increasingly unpleasant. You might find yourself trapped in a deteriorating body that should have died decades ago, sustained only by the quantum mechanical requirement that your consciousness must always experience some branch of reality. The theory suggests that you might become the sole survivor of increasingly catastrophic events. Pandemics that kill everyone else but somehow spare you. Natural disasters that devastate everything around you while you miraculously escape. Eventually, you might find yourself alone on a dying planet, or floating in the void of space, somehow still conscious, still experiencing, because there's always some infinitesimally small probability that you could survive even that. The paradox: why others die but you don't? This raises an obvious question. If everyone is subject to quantum immortality, why do you observe other people dying? The answer, according to the theory, is both simple and deeply disturbing. You can observe other people's deaths because their deaths don't prevent your consciousness from continuing. When someone else dies, there are still branches of reality where you continue to exist and witness their death. But you can never observe your own death, because there would be no you left to observe it. This creates a peculiar asymmetry in your experience of reality. From your perspective, you are the only truly immortal being in the universe. Everyone else can die, ages, and disappears, but you persist. In a sense, you become the unwilling protagonist in an eternal, increasingly lonely story. Think about everyone you've ever known who has died. According to quantum immortality, from their perspective, they didn't die, they simply found themselves in branches where everyone else, including you, ceased to exist. Right now, in countless parallel universes, they're living their own versions of immortality, wondering why you vanished from their reality. The scientific debate: is this actually possible? Now, before you become too unsettled by these implications, it's important to note that quantum immortality is highly speculative and controversial, even among physicists who accept the many worlds interpretation. The theory makes several assumptions that may not hold true. First, it assumes that consciousness is somehow special in quantum mechanics, that it has properties that prevent it from being destroyed. But there's no clear evidence that consciousness is anything more than a pattern of neural activity that can be disrupted just like any other physical process. Second, the theory assumes that the many worlds interpretation is correct, which is still hotly debated. Many physicists prefer other interpretations of quantum mechanics that don't require infinite parallel universes. Third, even if many worlds is correct, there's no guarantee that consciousness would work the way quantum immortality suggests. It's possible that consciousness could be destroyed in some branches without the strange selection effects the theory proposes. The philosophical weight: living with uncertainty. But here's what makes quantum immortality so fascinating and disturbing. You can't prove it wrong from your own perspective. If the theory is true, you would experience exactly what you're experiencing now: a life filled with close calls and fortunate escapes, with no memory of the branches where you died. Every time you've ever wondered, "How did I survive that?" or "What are the odds?" you might actually be experiencing the quantum mechanical requirement that your consciousness can only exist in branches where you continue to exist. This uncertainty creates a strange kind of existential weight. You might be living through the only possible version of your life, or you might be experiencing just one of infinitely many. You might be immortal, or you might die tomorrow. The theory suggests that you can never know for certain which is true. The comfort in confusion: why we explore these ideas. As we drift toward the end of our exploration, you might be wondering why we delve into such unsettling possibilities. Perhaps it's because these extreme scenarios help us appreciate the mystery of consciousness itself. Whether or not quantum immortality is true, the fact that we can contemplate our own existence, our own mortality, our own place in the universe, is itself extraordinary. The theory forces us to confront fundamental questions about the nature of experience, identity, and survival. What does it mean to be you? Is your consciousness something that could persist across impossible odds, or is it simply a temporary pattern in the neural networks of your brain? These questions don't have easy answers, and perhaps that's the point. The mystery itself is part of what makes consciousness so remarkable. Whether you're experiencing the only possible version of your life or just one of infinitely many, you're still here, still thinking, still wondering about the nature of existence. Closing, the eternal question. So, as you prepare to close your eyes tonight, remember this: according to quantum immortality, this might not be the first time you've listened to this video. In some branch of reality, you've been here before, contemplating these same ideas, wondering about these same possibilities. And if the theory is true, you'll be here again, in some form, in some branch, contemplating the strange and wonderful mystery of your own impossible persistence. Sweet dreams, fellow travelers. And remember, in at least one branch of reality, you'll wake up tomorrow to ponder these mysteries all over again. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the quantum nature of mortality. If you enjoyed this exploration, please like and subscribe for more late-night contemplations of the universe's strangest possibilities. And don't forget to share where you're listening from. I love knowing that these ideas are traveling across the globe, reaching minds in every time zone. Until next time, keep questioning, keep wondering, and keep exploring the beautiful mysteries that surround us.